With Peadar Lavin in Lavin, and Peadar has a special message for Father Brendan on his 30-year anniversary of being ordained.
Brendan, congratulations on your 30 years. I hope you'll have a great time celebrating it. That was one thing the McDonalds were wonderful at doing, at celebrating. And I hope that all Ballyfernan, indeed, and Ardline are celebrating with you. It'd be hard to think that maybe that 30 years ago that we'd look forward to a day on 30 years when I'm called here with Paula, and you were maybe, you'd think I should be gone, left the world long ago, but you went nearly in front of me. And as you were, that's why I suppose I must say the first thing, I have often used time year after year after year in my teaching and going into the primary schools of the people that the Lord picks, and the unlikely people sometimes that we round about would think unlikely to be called by Christ to do great work for him. You were called there at that time when you were in Linz with Andy and all those great people that were there around the place, chancellors of all description. And you went, and then we heard it often used that, well, a few fellas had a few shots at you. And of course, even though I fired the 9 bullets, only one grazed your head. And I'm sure there are many of other little things that many grazed you and maybe could have brought life pretty tough for you, but the Lord was looking after you and you got out of it okay. You were a great lad, and the greatest of that episode was, well, maybe 2 things. Firstly, the way you, I remember asking you, would the cops, the police, would they look up the guy that fired the shots? And you said, oh, they didn't found him. And I was asking you what sort of a guy. Oh, sure, I used to go in to see him every fortnight in prison. And that was really the heart and the great characteristic, I'd say, of Frank Madonna above all others. Solid, down to earth, could understand people and maybe could understand those that were against him. And Frank, and indeed your granduncle, Martin, Martin McGrath. We had a great time for Martin there in Ballyfernan. In fact, he was just like yourself. There was no show, no put on or anything like that, doing his own thing. And to the amazement of us all, when the church was being done up with Father Murta, it was Martin again, as we know, that very quietly, no song or dance about it, that presented the bail. So Martin McGrath, is forever ringing out in Ballyfernan. And of course, like you are too, certainly now, as I said, in my heart, we are there every year after year, as I said. You were a bar howl, as they say in Irish, bar howl to young people who looking for adventure, and that adventure in this instance, that is in yours and hopefully in more, will be for Christ, demanding great and brave people and people of great stuff. And you had all that. You had it from your mum and from your dad, and indeed from your family. And I hope too, from the rest of us, that you banged up against, especially round home. Paulie here told me that, I reminded you maybe long ago in Ballyfernan, 30 years ago, of the support Ballyfernan would have been to you right through it. And it's one of my regrets, like, to go home. It's happened to me there some time ago, and I called in, and Michal was not around, and I couldn't go over to Jerry Travers because the young Traverses were there, and Dr. Peadar Flynn, he wasn't there. And I said, well, I go down to one man that won't be gallivanting, Peter Kerrigan. And Peter was in hospital. So back I came, took down the heat in the house, back up to Roscommon. And I never felt as empty in quite a long time that I hadn't the Ballyfarn. It wasn't just my own crowd, Andy, Mum and Dad and all those, but just Ballyfarn there to support me. So I hope that that you'll have your own and the friends you made, and God, there are in hundreds round about. Now, if you depended on Ballyfarn, remember Ballyfarn depended on you. And if it's only at the small things like the masses, whether there's a God or not, Brendan McDonagh, you were there. And you were there to support, to encourage. And I suppose in a sense, like till the day comes for you to die, it's only then that people will sit up and realise the type of person you were. You're a man that answered the call when it wasn't easy. To leave, we'll say, Lynn's and the few old Bob you were getting, to leave it all behind and to go off for Buckle Ivy. What was it going to be like? You didn't know, but you took it on, son. And okay, you stood up to the bullets, and I'm sure you get an odd old bullet now and again up there in Coot Hall, but they're probably not as accurate as they were in Africa. But however, may the Lord preserve you from all those bullets of life. And finally, when the final call gets you, Brendan, may I be there to meet you in God's home. Because how often would I go in there to Frank, have the chat, and the homemade cake that Frank Madonna made himself. And I'm pretty sure you, like that in all your life, no matter where you went, it was always easy to ask, how is Brendan McDonagh getting on? I knew very well what the answer would be. To be the Brendan McDonagh that, like his dad, could bake a cake when the wife is gone. You will do the same, no matter how tough it is. Come on, Father Bowman home.
Thank you very much, Father.
He said, Peadar, if you go home and keep going home, you'll not go too wrong for too long. And that, I know, is absolutely true. Because, to be honest, it's here among our home, among our own people, like I said about your kitchen, that you and I will get the inspiration when things are gone bad, when there are not any streamers or anything out for us in life. It's back in our own home, among our own people, that we will rise again. It's there that we get the real satisfaction of living. And as I said, when we fall, and as we do, it is Ballyfarn and our life and Kilmacroy that will pick us up again.